There's something magnetic about you, something in the way you move, the way you speak, that pulls me in every time. It's not always about what you say, but about how you make me feel when you do that one thing, that simple gesture that speaks louder than words. Every time you do it, my thoughts race, my heart flutters, and I can't help but be drawn to you in ways I never thought possible. The feeling is inexplicable, like a spark that ignites when you do that one thing. It's not grand or dramatic, but it has this power to flip everything upside down. My mind can't help but wander, and all my current thoughts are consumed by the way you've made me feel. It's as if time stops just to let that one moment linger a little longer in my soul. I never knew how powerful something so simple could be. When you do that one thing, it's like my heart is racing without warning, and my mind is in chaos trying to keep up. It's a thrill that never gets old, a feeling I crave with every passing moment. The way you make me feel, it's wild and unexplainable, but it's everything I've ever needed. I don't think you realize how much power you have over my thoughts. When you do that one thing, it's like the world stops. My focus, my attention, my entire being is fixated on you. My thoughts shift to a new rhythm, and suddenly, nothing else matters. I get lost in the way you make me feel, like I'm floating in a moment that is uniquely ours. It's funny how something so small, something so effortlessly natural for you, can send me into a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions. Every time you do that one thing, I'm left speechless, overwhelmed by how much it impacts me. It's like you have this innate ability to stir something so deep inside of me, and it's impossible to ignore. Every time you do that one thing, it's like the air shifts, and I can feel the connection between us becoming even stronger. My thoughts are consumed by it, like an addiction I can't quit. It's wild, it's intense, and it's that one thing that makes me feel like you're speaking directly to my soul without saying a single word. The way you do that one thing sends ripples through my thoughts, altering my entire mood. It's like a hidden code between us, something only we understand. The way you make me feel in those moments is something I can't quite put into words, but it's everything that I didn't know I was craving. I wish I could describe the sensation of what happens when you do that one thing. It's not just physical, it's emotional, mental, and spiritual. My thoughts shift, and my feelings grow deeper every time you bring me back to that moment. You have this way of captivating every part of me with a simple gesture, and it drives me wild in the best way. There's a magic in the way you make me feel when you do that one thing. It's as if my whole world is focused on that instant. my thoughts grow clearer, my heart races, and in that moment, I'm reminded of how deeply I'm connected to you and how deeply you've embedded yourself in my soul. What you do, that one thing, it's not just a moment, it's a shift. It alters the way I see everything around me. My thoughts, once calm and composed, now seem to spin in a whirlwind of feelings that only you can stir. It's wild and it's beautiful, and every time you do it, I can't help but feel more drawn to you. You drive me wild, especially when you do that one thing. The way you make me feel in those moments is a storm of emotions I never saw coming. I get lost in the energy, in the connection, in the feelings that rise up and take over me. It's as if everything else fades away and it's just you and me in that one moment. The way you do that one thing, it's almost like you know the exact moment I need it. You have this way of igniting something deep inside of me, and in those moments, I'm reminded of how powerful the simplest gestures can be. My thoughts race, my heart races, and all I want is for you to do it again. When you do that one thing, it feels like you're tapping into a secret part of me, one I didn't even know existed. Suddenly, my thoughts are consumed by you, and every little part of me responds to you in ways I can't explain. It's like you've unlocked something in me that I never thought could be unlocked. You don't have to say anything. It's the way you do that one thing that leaves me speechless. It's a spark, an energy that runs through me, making my thoughts a blur of desire, longing, and pure admiration. It's wild how something so simple can completely alter the way I see the world in that moment. It's like a ripple effect every time you do that one thing. My thoughts are no longer just my own, they belong to us. I can't help but feel more connected to you in that moment, and all the feelings I've been holding back come rushing forward. It's that one thing that brings everything to life. You know how to drive me wild in the most unexpected ways. Every time you do that one thing, it feels like I'm being swept off my feet without warning. My thoughts race, my heart pounds, and I'm consumed by a feeling of deep attraction. It's incredible how much power you have over me in those moments. When you do that one thing, it's like time slows down, and I'm fully aware of every sensation, every emotion that floods my mind. It's as though I'm seeing you in a whole new light, and the way you make me feel in those moments is more than I ever thought I could experience. It's always the little things that get to me. When you do that one thing, everything else disappears, and I'm left with a deep sense of longing and connection. My thoughts shift, my heart races, and I'm left feeling more alive than ever. It's wild how such a small act can make everything feel so intense. I can't help but get lost in the way you make me feel when you do that one thing. It's like you've discovered a secret to my soul, and every time you do it, I can't help but crave more. My thoughts are tangled, my emotions are heightened, and all I want is to experience that moment again. That one thing you do. It's like you've unlocked a hidden side of me. My thoughts get wrapped up in you, and I can't seem to think of anything else. It's wild, it's unexpected, and it leaves me craving more every time. You have this ability to make me feel things I didn't know I needed. There's a certain magic in the way you do that one thing. It pulls me in, consumes my thoughts, and makes my heart race. It's a wild, electric feeling that takes over me, and I can't help but get lost in it. You have a way of making me feel alive in ways I never thought possible. It's the way you do that one thing that leaves me breathless. Every time it happens, my thoughts get lost in the moment, and I'm left with a rush of feelings that I can't quite explain. There's something about it that makes me feel connected to you in a way that nothing else can. When you do that one thing, it's like you're speaking directly to my soul. My thoughts change, my feelings grow deeper, and I'm reminded of just how much I crave you in my life. There's an undeniable power in those moments, and I can't help but want more of it. It's the small things you do that make the biggest impact. When you do that one thing, everything inside me shifts. My thoughts become centered on you, and every part of me responds to the energy you've created. It's a feeling I can't get enough of. There's a certain kind of intensity that builds up when you do that one thing. My thoughts become consumed with you, and I can feel the energy between us growing stronger. It's wild how much power that one simple act can hold over me, and how it makes me feel like I'm living in the moment with you. That one thing you do, it leaves me completely captivated. My thoughts are racing, and all I can focus on is how deeply connected I feel to you. It's a feeling that stays with me long after that moment has passed, and I can't stop thinking about it. Every time you do that one thing, it's like a spark ignites inside me. My thoughts shift, my heart races, and I find myself wanting more. It's a wild, electric feeling that takes over, and I'm left craving the connection that only you can provide. You have this ability to drive me wild without even realizing it. Every time you do that one thing, it's like you're awakening something inside of me. My thoughts are consumed with you, and I can't help but feel more drawn to you with every passing moment. There's a certain pull you have on me when you do that one thing. It's not just physical, it's emotional, it's mental. My thoughts are all about you, and I can't seem to think of anything else. It's wild how much power you have over me in those moments. I never thought something so simple could have such a profound effect on me. When you do that one thing, it's like everything else fades into the background, and my thoughts become centered solely on you. The way you make me feel is something I can't easily forget. It's in the way you do that one thing that leaves me completely undone. My thoughts spiral, my feelings intensify, and I find myself completely immersed in the moment. It's a feeling that's hard to explain, but impossible to ignore. When you do that one thing, everything shifts. My thoughts are no longer mine, they belong to us. It's wild how something so small can change the way I experience the world, and how it makes me feel closer to you in every way. You drive me wild when you do that one thing. It's like a spark that ignites something deep inside of me, and all my thoughts and feelings come rushing to the surface. It's as if time stands still, and all I can focus on is the way you make me feel.